Hey everybody, Josh the Fifth Wheel Gamer here. So, Anbernic launched a new Game Boy SP wannabe device, okay? And, they've already launched the 35XX SP and the 34XX SP, which you see in front of you right now in the center. That's this device right here, okay? However, Anbernic, while they are trying to match that nostalgia of the original Game Boy Advance SP, I do believe that they're not the only ones in the picture here that are doing an excellent job. And so while I do give Anbernic, plenty of flowers most of the time because I do love a lot of their devices, a lot of their products, and I do like the 34XX SP that I have in front of me right now. Okay, but I will say that they are not the only ones in town that might actually be doing it right and or potentially doing it better. And so if you're watching this video, then I want you to come along with me for a few minutes here to Spec Town, okay? And I'm going to pop up some specs on the screen here, and we're going to do some chip comparisons between the Anbernic device that's in the center here, because the same device that just launched for Anbernic is using the same chip that's in this device. And however, the Powkiddy V90S, which is the successor to the original Powkiddy V90 right here, is using the A133 processor. Okay, and the Miyoo Mini Flip over here is using an all-winner chip that I'm going to just go ahead and pop up on the screen because it's a mouthful to say it. But I want you guys to develop your own opinion, and you tell me if I'm right. And we're going to base this, the metrics for this video, off of sound quality of the speakers. We're going to base it off of the screens. We're going to base it off of what the devices are capable of. And we're going to base it off of the just overall feel of the controls of each of these devices as far as comfortability and, durability and things like that. And so let's just go ahead and jump right in, shall we? On a quick side note, before we get jumping into all of this, okay, this is the RG Rotate, which was just launched not too terribly long ago by Anbernic. Okay, however, this device's screen is, as you notice, has pretty large bezels on the top and on the bottom. And so not exactly something that you're going to want, even though the form factor is very, very close to the size of these other devices that I have for this video. Okay, when you close the RG Rotate, the size, yeah, see, that definitely fits pretty well with them. However, with it being an outer display and things like that, I don't know. I'm having a hard time finding where to put this device in my daily routine, because while I do love the hardware, I feel like they really shot themselves in the foot whenever they put such a very small amount of internal storage on this device, because I really wanted to load it up with a bunch of Android games, but there's only like a handful of them that I can really put on the internal storage. Okay, so we're going to start with controls, and the first device up is going to be the Miyoo Mini Flip, and this device has a bigger brother that has joysticks on it, similar to what the RG34XX SP has with the joysticks on it. However, the Miyoo Flip, the big brother, it has a 3.5-inch 4x3 display. This is a 3x2 display, which is proper for Game Boy Advance. However, for many other retro systems, you're actually going to be working with smaller real estate versus this device's larger brother. And this device, for it to have a 2.8-inch screen, is very, very nice. But anyway, we're not talking about the screens yet. Let's go ahead and go with the controls. Let's listen to how nice and tactile these buttons sound on the Miyoo Mini Flip. Okay, so extremely quiet. Every single button just about, with the exception of the start, the select, and the menu button on this device, extremely quiet. The hand feel of this device, for it to be so small, is actually extremely comfortable. I think that just the balance of this device in general is absolutely perfect, just about. But, so hand feel and the quietness of the controls on this device are very, very solid. I'm going to give them, I'm going to say about an 8 out of 10. Okay, so next up for our comfy controls, we're going to be testing out the Anbernic RG34XX SP. Okay, and once again, we're just testing to see which one has the loudest buttons, as well as feeling whether these buttons are tactile and comfortable. And so let's have a listen here, shall we? Okay, a little bit noisier with the start and select and menu button on this device. Shoulder buttons on this device are also more noisy than the Miyoo Mini Flip here. Alright, so on this device, the feeling of the tactical buttons on this one, I've got to say it's decent. But it's actually not quite as good. Even though this device has smaller controls, the balance of the buttons just seems to be better. I don't know what it is, but it just seems more natural to the thumbs to hit these buttons like this, as opposed to this device. It seems a little bit more. It seems like I have to do a greater range of motion to do what would normally be a fireball, and so we're going to do some real world testing on that in just a few minutes here. But as of right now, the Miyoo Mini Flip is the winner so far. So let's have a look at our next contestant, shall we? Okay, so here we are with our largest device of the group. This is the Powkiddy V90S. Okay, and by the way, when I went to start this device up, okay, it had not lost any battery life whatsoever, which I can't say for the Anbernic. It seems to be like a lot of Anbernic's devices just have bad battery bleeding or something. I don't know what the deal is with that. But this Powkiddy V90S, the battery was actually still fully 110% charged, so good on you, Powkiddy. So anyways, let's feel the controls on this device, and let's have a listen to see how loud or soft these buttons are. So D-pad is virtually quiet. Same thing with the face buttons. Oh, okay, that's starting, that select, and that menu button. That'll get you right there. The shoulder buttons are about neck and neck with the Anbernic device on this particular device. Okay, so as far as the quietness of the buttons, the winner out of all three of these devices is the Miyoo Mini Flip. So everybody, ding, one for Miyoo Mini. Okay, so next up we're doing a dimness test. Okay, and on this dimness test, right now, the dimmest device, the one that's going to be the most likely to be able to play without disturbing people if you were sleeping next to someone, is the Powkiddy V90S with the dimmest screen. So let's see which one has the brightest screen, shall we? Okay, so right now, out of the devices that we have on hand here, the brightest display is definitely the Miyoo Mini Flip here. Okay, and as far as the colors go, okay, the colors on the Powkiddy V90S actually look a little bit washed out. The colors on the Anbernic RG34XXSP look a little bit more colorful, but the overall color and clarity definitely goes to the Miyoo Mini Flip with that higher resolution. Got our devices out here, okay? The Miyoo Mini Flip right here, okay, has a different chipset than its big brother, the Miyoo Flip, that has the dual joysticks like the Anbernic RG34XXSP. The big brother to this device is rocking the RK3566 chipset that we've seen in some of the more powerful Anbernic devices from the past, such as the 353V, which was one of their vertical handhelds, as well as their 353P. Okay, and their 353M. Those were all devices that had the 3566 chipset found in this device's big brother. Okay, now this device has the all-winner this device has the A133 processor in it, and this device has an H700 processor in it. Now, the A133 processor that's in this device is slightly more capable than the H700 chipset that's in this device, okay? And this device with its Sigma Star All-Winner chip that's in it is actually significantly weaker than both of these devices. These are both quad-core devices. This is a dual-core device, okay? So taking away the joysticks on this device is a good idea because it can't make use of them anyway, unlike its big brother that has the joysticks. Okay, with the 3566 chipset. Now, the reason that I don't own the big brother to this device to have for this showcase in the first place is because of the fact that the big brother to this device had a bunch of hinge issues. However, at some point, I'm going to end up breaking down and getting it anyways, just to compare it against this device. Okay, so for our D-pad testing for accuracy, okay, I've chosen Street Fighter Third Strike as my test game, and I've turned the brightness down on this device to try and make it not look so washed out. But I'm gonna say that, like I said, the screen on the Miyoo Mini Flip is a masterpiece for the size, and the controls are very comfortable. I don't have any problems here pulling off my fireballs, my dragon punches. This is a very accurate D-pad and very comfortable. Like I said, I cannot believe how comfortable this device is for its size. Each time I pick it up, I kind of marvel at that because I owned an original Miyoo Mini Plus. And the Miyoo Mini Plus was the bigger of them, obviously, when the Miyoo Mini Original came out. And yet, for whatever reason, it just didn't feel comfortable to me, and the D-pad felt just a little too mushy, even though it was a nice D-pad, very classy. But yeah, D-pad test, this one is a very good, very accurate D-pad. Okay, so next up, we're going to be testing the D-pad on the Anbernic RG34XX SP to test it for accuracy. And it's a good D-pad. I'm a little bit less accurate with it. Dragon punches are getting pulled off perfect. And it is a good D-pad. Like I said, I just have to do a little bit more motion with it to make it do what I want it to do. But, you know, it is still decent. But I'm going to go ahead and say so far the Miyoo Mini Flip D-pad is a little bit better than this one. Not by crazy amounts. Because like I said, it's still a good D-pad, but the Miyoo Mini Flip one's winning so far. Alright, so next up we have the D-pad test on the Powkiddy V90S. And so let's see how accurate a softer D-pad can actually be. And I will say this, the comfort level of this D-pad is absurdly good. It's actually more comfortable than both the Miyoo Mini and the Anbernic D-pad because it doesn't have any sharp edges on it, and it's highly accurate so far for pulling off all my special moves. I'm pulling off fireballs with no problem. I'm not missing any inputs whatsoever. You see here I'm able to do successful dragon punches, one right after another. And so, hold on here. Let's see. Wah, 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 wah. KO. Yes, I think out of all of them, the most accurate one is probably going to be, it seems to me the most accurate one is the one that's on the Miyoo Mini Flip, but the most comfortable one is definitely this one on the Powkiddy V90S. So if comfort is your thing for controls and soft, quiet face buttons, then this one's definitely got it. Okay, so next up we're going to do a sound test with these three devices to determine which one has the nicest sounding speakers. And so we got one single front firing speaker on the Miyoo Mini Flip. I'm not expecting much out of this, but let's see what it does and if it distorts. Okay, so next up we have the Powkiddy V90S with its front firing speaker right here. And okay, next up we have the Anbernic RG34XX SP. Let's see how loud it gets. I think it's a little bit more crisp than what we heard on the Powkiddy V90S. However, give me just one moment here. Let's hear this one more time right here. Okay, so the sound on the Miyoo Mini Flip actually gets much louder than both of these devices. However, when it hits that high volume, it does start to distort just a little bit. But so far, the loudest device, the brightest device, the most crisp device, and the device with the most accurate controls is the Miyoo Mini Flip. Now, let's talk custom firmwares, okay? So everybody knows on the original Miyoo Mini and the original Miyoo Mini Plus that you had Onion OS, which is actually what I'm running on this Miyoo Mini Flip right here, okay? However, these two are just running the stock firmware that came with them, okay? But each of these devices all has their own custom firmwares that you can download and install on them if you don't like the stock firmware. Now, as far as capabilities goes, the A133 processor that's in this is more powerful than the Allwinner chip that's in this device and the H700 that's in this device just slightly. However, because we have no joysticks, we don't get to take advantage of it very much. So this device you can run N64 games on, but guess what? Very few of them are you going to actually want to play, and you're liable to get yourself in trouble, as I have just done, trying to remap the controls for the N64 because the software they use on the stock firmware for remapping controls kind of sucks on this one a little bit. So that's my main gripe right now. This device, obviously, you're going to be able to do a little bit more with N64 because you have dual joysticks. And so this device will happily run things like Ocarina of Time. Okay, you can run games like Lamborghini. There are some other racing games you can run. Mario Kart 64 will run decently on this device. Okay, so as far as the most capable device out of these three, spec-wise it's this one, but as far as functionality goes, this is the one that's going to take the cake. This one will get you into N64 and PSP territory. Okay, now, drum roll please. Which device is my personal favorite out of these three? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, it's definitely the Miyoo Mini Flip, you guys. If I want to play N64 games, okay, I've got other handhelds that do that much better than the Anbernic RG34XXSP over here. And, you know, the Powkiddy V90S is an admirable device. And as far as something that's quieter to play, if I was out in public or something and I was trying not to make a lot of noise, then the Powkiddy V90S definitely has the quieter face buttons. For long-term play sessions, I would probably choose the Powkiddy V90S because of how soft the face buttons are. But in this form factor, I want to play the classics, okay? I want to play my Super Nintendo. I want to play Game Boy Color. I want to learn the catalog that I missed out on when I was growing up, okay? There are so many awesome games that I did not get to play that are just so comfortable to play on this tiny little handheld. And because of the fact that the display on this device is so crisp and so clear and gets so bright, okay, I just can't recommend this little device enough to people who are just getting into this hobby. And the price is right. It is slightly cheaper than its big brother, even though its big brother is the one that has all the hinge cracking issues. But I think that they've improved that enough that I would take my chance on it. And so at some point in the near future, I am going to get the big brother to this device to see if the controls are every bit as comfortable as this device is. And so if you're looking for something portable with a beautiful display that's going to get you into your classic games with a very solid hinge, very quiet buttons, very accurate buttons, decent battery life, enough to get you back and forth for what you're doing and charges relatively quickly, then this is going to be the device for you, okay? So, anyway, that's my take on everything, you guys. I'm Josh the Fifth Wheel Gamer, and I am out of here. Like and subscribe for more great content, share, and comment down below.